Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a dish that I grew up with in upstate New York in an Italian-American family. Dish is called chum-bought. And only recently I learned that the word in Italian actually is ciambotta, ciambotta. But by the time we had learned to say it, it had been corrupted into the word chum-bought. So it's a very simple dish from southern Italy. It's made with sweet peppers, bell peppers, although you can also use hot peppers, and tomatoes. Very simple. Tomatoes and peppers fried in oil with a little bit of garlic. I've since found out recently that this dish can also be made with any number of other vegetables. In southern Italy, they make it with also with potatoes, with eggplant, with zucchini, even with beans. So basically, whatever vegetables you have lying around, you can make chum-bought. But I grew up with it strictly with peppers and tomatoes, and I loved it as a kid. So we would eat it fried with scrambled eggs. You'd serve it on toast. You could have it as a side dish with sausage, basically as a condiment. Put it in sandwiches, it's very good. I didn't have it for a long time after I moved out here to Southern California, but recently, the past year, my sister shared the recipe, and I'm making it now about once or twice a month, so I always have it on hand whenever I'm in the mood for chum-bought. So I'm recording this video for posterity, for my kids and my grandchildren. Hopefully they will enjoy it and be able to make it, and you can learn as well, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. So like I said, the ingredients of this dish are really pretty simple. You need tomatoes, and these are Roma tomatoes, which are good for cooking, and peppers. I like these are sweet peppers. I like the red or the yellow ones because they're a little bit sweeter than just the green. But again, you can use just any pepper you like, whether it's sweet or hot. And you want a little more tomatoes in this dish than you have peppers. The ratio there, it's not really significant, but that's how I like to do it. You're going to have olive oil. We're going to fry that in the olive oil, salt, garlic powder, and a little bit of sugar if you need to sweeten it up a little bit at the end if the tomatoes aren't sweet enough. So, the secret of this dish is not really the ingredients, but how they're prepared. It's the process. And that's the part that I want to show you on the rest of this video. Okay, so the first thing we need to do actually is skin these tomatoes, because you don't want the peel on the tomatoes when you cook that. We have to have the skin off it. So the best way to peel a tomato is actually to cut a little bit of a cross here in the top and stick it into boiling water for, I don't know, maybe 30, 60 seconds or so, until you see that the skin is kind of, I don't know if you can see this here, kind of peeling off. You put that into a little ice water so that you can handle it. Let that chill down for a minute. And when you take this out, let's see if I can pick that up now, you'll see the skin will peel right off. So instead of coming with a knife and trying to peel these when they're cold or just out of the pan, you can take the skin right off it. And there you have it, good now for chopping up in just a minute. So now you got the tomatoes peeled, and we're simply going to cut them up into small chunks. See if I can get the size right here, just about like that. Probably like about the size of a pair of dice. So put those in like that. And you can see they're just chopped up good for frying. So we'll do the whole bunch of them there, and then we'll put them in the pan. So now we're going to do about the same thing with the pepper. I'm going to take out the center part with all the seeds in it. And then we're going to just cut this up into strips. And these you want a little bit bigger than, I would say, dice size. So we got these strips here. I'm going to cut them just about like this. I guess it's about dice size, maybe a little bit bigger. And we're going to make a bowl of these as well. So we got our tomatoes and we have our peppers. Okay, so now we're ready to begin the frying. I'm going to put some olive oil
into each one of these pans. And you notice these are very big pans. The reason for that is that evaporating the water from these vegetables is the secret to making this dish come out good. So if I need to add a little more oil, I will. Put the tomatoes over here. And I'm going to put the peppers over here. And then I'm going to add a fairly good amount of salt. I mean, not too much. So how much? I don't know. Maybe 2 teaspoons here. And 2 teaspoons here. And the reason for the salt, of course, is to make it taste good, but also this is going to help get the water out of these vegetables, out of the tomatoes and out of the peppers. Because the secret to this dish is you have to evaporate all of the water, or most of the water, and make it thick. You don't want this soupy. The other thing, which I should have said before I started, is that you notice I'm cooking these two separately. And that's the other secret to this dish. You don't mix these two together and make it like a stew or a soup. You cook them separately, and then at the end we're going to mix them back together. So let's let this cook down a little bit. Don't make it too high because you don't want it to burn. You want it to cook down, and you want this to not have any burning on it. So I'm going to stir this periodically to make sure that it doesn't burn. Now you can see the peppers are cooking down pretty well. They're still going to let them go a little bit longer. You want to get all of the water out of here. And the tomatoes, you can see, actually have quite a bit of water still in them. So we got to cook this down till it's really, the water is just about out of there. Again, the secret of this dish is to make it dry. Each ingredient's got to be dry before you mix it together. So now we're just about at the end, and I don't know if you can see this, but that is getting pretty dry. There is not much water left in here. You can just see by kind of how the bubbles are coming up. So that's good enough. What we're going to do now is we're going to take the peppers, which are here. They're pretty dry as well. And we're going to mix them in with the tomatoes. I'm going to stir them in together. And we're going to let those cook down just a little bit more to get any remaining water out of that. And while we're doing that, I'm going to take the garlic powder. I'm going to put a little bit in here. Now, if you want to use fresh garlic, you go right ahead and do that. I would recommend you do it at the end, just so that does not burn, because garlic, if it burns when you're frying it, is going to be bitter. So you want to add that at the end. Also, I did taste this a little bit earlier, and it does need just a little bit of sugar. So I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon in there. You can do that to taste. Of course, you can always add a little more. So I would go conservative, because you can always add more, but you sure can take it out. All right, so we're going to let that simmer just a little bit more, and be sure that it's dry. And as you can see here, and I've mixed it together, and there's just a little bit of water coming out of here. So I'm just going to give it about another 60 seconds. Be sure that's dried out, and then we are done. So there you have it.
Buon appetit.